Behind the Roar, the official podcast of West Tigers.
Well, hello, welcome to episode 5 now of Behind the Roar, the official podcast of the West Tigers, where we give it to you straight, where we kick speculation into touch and where we learn more about, I guess, the stories and the people behind this great club. This week's guest, he's one of the biggest men ever to pull on a rugby league jersey, certainly a Tigers jersey. He's of Finnish descent. He played 246 games for the Tigers spanning the 80s and the 90s. His two sons have both pulled on the West Tigers jersey. He was once offered a contract, believe it or not, to play American football in Hawaii, of all places. He lost back-to-back grand finals with Bateman in 1988 and 1989. 21 caps for the Kangaroos, 14 origins for New South Wales. And he is the last, believe it or not, he is the last remaining original model on the Lowe's menswear television commercials. Paul Sironen, welcome to Behind the Roar.
Supermodel, that would be, mate.
Can I just say, you're looking pretty fit. You're looking good.
Looks could be deceiving, mate. No, nice to be here, mate. Enjoy the podcast. It's good.
How this works, and you've been through it because we actually did a pilot way back when, and we brought you in, and it went so good. The bosses up there said, we've got to make this happen. So we'll open with a set of 6, get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
For those that don't know, the Ciro that some of us know. We'll then we'll talk some serious stuff, some footy, some nitty gritty in the middle of the game. There'll be a few questions from the crowd. If you want to send questions in for next week's guest, just check out the socials as well. Insta's probably the best way. DM us there. West Tigers BTR is the way to go on that. And then at the back end, with about 5 to play, we'll go back to some of your favourite moments in the game.
Good
all
game
right?
plan. I like
So
it.
that's where we're at. Before we get into the set of 6, though, let's just reflect back on last weekend's game, if we can, briefly, and look ahead to Friday. We take on Melbourne Storm in Melbourne. Just back to Belmore last Sunday. Didn't get the money again. 3 losses on the trot. Rightly so. I can understand members and fans being anxious, a bit disgruntled because we haven't got the points. But I think there were a few positives to come out of that game, and I think you can see us building slowly. A couple of debutants too. John Bateman made his club debut. Brandon Wakeham as well.
Was very good off the bench. Yeah.
I thought he was too.
Look, I and look, like all West Tigers fans, mate, I've been disappointed too with patches in the first few rounds, and there's certainly times on Sunday too. Given the conditions, mate, it was very, very hot too, playing over there at Belmore. But you're disappointed with some areas of our play, but we kind of on the back of a Dave Clement charge there in the second half where he spotted Reid Marnie and just said, right, I'm just taking you on, mate, and just ran over the top of him and made that great line break. We just, I don't know, that's probably the spark we may have needed for the season. I don't know, but off the back of that, for the next sort of 15 minutes, we got back into the game, and I thought, this is better. This is a lot better. So.
I saw it, mate, and it was the hottest rugby league venue I've probably ever been to in my life, and I've been like yourself around the game for ages. It was just, it was stinking hot. But I did see, quite a few West Tigers fans, members walking out of the game at the end, and there were downbeat because we got beaten, right? But I think people saw some improvement there, and they at least saw some fight.
Yeah. There's been fight every week.
Yep.
Don't doubt that. Our fans and members there is effort there every week, and it mightn't look the best, and it doesn't go to plan all the time, but there is always effort there.
If the effort's not there, that's when you start.
Well,
that's when you start to have
course.
problems, right? And I was lucky to be in the change rooms afterwards.
Yeah.
Sheensy sat the boys down and he said, "Look, we'll talk more about this game a bit later on," and we're going sort of back into the inner sanctum here. I hope what I'm saying is okay with Tim, but he sat them down and said, "Look, I've been a coach before where we've lost the first 3. In fact, we've lost the first 4, and we've gone on to make the finals and go deep into the finals. So it's not time to panic, but we do talk about the combinations, and again, those combinations are still trying to understand each other's game. And I saw Appy in the post-match press conference at Belmore, and one of the journos spoke about the combinations with him and Brooksy, and a new look spine. And what Appy said, how did he describe it? He plays a front foot style footy. And he's very good at it. And I thought at the weekend at Belmore, we saw a lot of that from Appy, a couple of mistakes, but others have to learn his style too, right?
Oh, yeah. And look, I've been watching it. Again, I'm fortunate enough to be involved with the State of Origin, and I've seen what Appy's done at Penrith for the last couple of seasons, and also in Origin too. And when he goes, he goes, and those little, I guess those little signals or signs, if a marker's down or not square, he's going to go. Then we learn to, if it's our middle boys are going to push up, or our halves, but we need to push up around the ball because we know he's going to go, and he'll make yards. And if he turns to look for support, we've got to be there. But that'll come. That takes a few weeks to come, and well, if we change our halves too, and we probably need to settle on that, but the combinations will come, and defensively we haven't been sort of caught out. There's been a few one-on-one misses which happen when you get spotted, players get spotted, but by and large our defensive systems are we're thereabouts, we just need to. And the introduction of John Bateman too, I thought he brought something a bit different, like the little grubber kick through. That's what the Pommies do, mate. They bring something different to the game, and I thought, what are you doing? And then the ball bounced up, and I thought, go, you good thing. I thought he was going to score, and if not for a bad bounce at the end there, he scores, and then all of a sudden we go, wow, and we're back in the game. But just you need a bit of luck sometimes too, mate. So
no, you do. And look, a few things went against us. Yeah. And I don't want to be accused here too. I said in the intro, we give it to you straight, right? We're upfront about everything. I don't want to be accused of sugarcoating a loss. But when you have lost a game, I imagine a coaching staff will sit the boys down, work out what we need to work on, but also take the good bits out of the game. And for me, there were some good bits. You talk about Bateman, and we'll talk more about Bateman a bit later on too, because there's the club's been copping so much in recent weeks about almost suggesting that we're lying and covering up an injury. The simple fact with John is the high-performance staff did not think he was ready to play. We'll talk more about it later on, when we get into the nitty-gritty. But I agree, he added a bit of grunt, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's how he plays. I mean, we saw what he did for Canberra, and I actually take a close look at Super League. I've got Curtis is playing over there, so I watch a fair bit of Super League, and he does that well over there too. He's in amongst, if there's a bit of a scrap, and a scrapper, that's what he is. John Bateman, he's a scrapper, and he'll contest everything on the field, which is probably what we need for some of our younger forwards. Need to watch and learn.
I think when someone like that comes in, and he's got to watch the discipline too, but he's playing probably above his weight. He's probably, if I'm honest, he's probably still a week or two away from. And I think Sheensy wanted to hold him back, but we lost ice.
He's here for and I know I'm jumping the gun here, but he's here for 3 or 4 seasons, so. If he doesn't play for a week or two, don't think there's anything
like
untoward going on. So
no, we'll sink our teeth into that below. And Brandon Wakeham, I thought he was really good when he came on against his former club.
And I think the quote was that he straightened us up a bit, which he did, and we played a bit more direct, and he might be the half that does that for us. You just find someone. So.
Looking ahead then to Friday, so it doesn't get any easier for our boys taking Melbourne Storm on in Melbourne. But also let's not forget too, I mean, that Canterbury team, they beat Melbourne in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be difficult, but again, and okay, I am talking the positives. I think Dane Laurie should be good to go, might be good to go. Ice is certainly back. You go down there, I guess, again, as underdogs. How do you think it'll go?
Yeah, Storm on the back of 2 losses, which doesn't happen very often too. So, but it's a different Melbourne Storm side now. And if I'm travelling down there, and I think that Big Nelson's not playing in the middle, who's such an imposing figure.
Gone.
Hopefully, no Hughes, Jerome Hughes may be suspended. If you said I want to take 3 blokes out of that Storm side, there's still no Pappenhausen too. So. If you want to take out, three-quarters of their spine. They're still Harry Grant's a bloke we've got to shut down a bit, but mate, if you said who do you want to take out, well, it could be 3 or 4 of those blokes aren't playing. So, there's there's one positive for you, and we just got to get our game right. And
and I don't think they'll be even thinking about who's in and who's out.
Yeah,
I think
won't.
they're probably just looking at like making incremental gains week on week. And I really, I love the fight that we saw. 15 to go. My young bloke was sitting next to me at Belmore, and we ran in. I think Brooksy scored the first one, and he said, "Dad, here comes the comeback." He's only 10 years of age, Bobby. He said, "Here's the comeback, Dad." I thought, God, I hope you're right. Then another one's gone in. Fanua's gone in. He said, "Dad, here's the comeback."
Yes.
And then we've got a third one.
That's right. Under the
3 in 4 minutes, and
it was good. It was good. It was a good passage of footy, and it was a good brand of footy we played too. The Brett Naden linking up with Wakeham, that long range efforts. And
my point is, I think we are building and building, and let's hope it can come together on Friday night. It will be tough.
Bryden's lawyers are the lawyers you know and trust. If you require legal representation, then why look anywhere else? Call Bryden's lawyers on 1800 848 848. Bryden's lawyers, we do support you in your time of need.
Righto. You're off the back fence there at Leichhardt Oval, okay, in front of the Keith Barnes stand. You've taken the kickoff on the full. You've got some speed. You've got those big quads pumping, and you've made it all the way out to the first the 30-metre line. So that was the whistle that has just gone. Ciro, the first question we're going to get you to tackle. You're of Finnish descent. Tell us a bit more about your roots, your origins.
Yeah. Oh well, look. And we've just had multicultural round too, mate. So, but Dad was part of back in the 50s. There was a big push for a lot of migrants to come into Australia. We're short in a lot of areas in the working world. So he was a young. He'd done his carpentry and bits and pieces over in Finland and was looking for an experience. So jumped on a boat in the 50s and came out to Australia with a mate of his. So learnt to speak English on the way out on the boat and didn't speak much English when he first arrived. But met Mum and that all flourished and along came 3 kids and
where was home in Sydney?
In Sydney, yes, yeah. In around Ryde, so always been in the Balmain area. But Dad was a builder and had a great career in the building trade and whatnot. And sadly passed away a few years ago now. But his legacy is we had 3 kids here and lots of grandkids, and we've got a great connection now with family back home in Finland. I went over a few years ago and met everyone and. Very easygoing people, the Finns. It's like Helsinki is it's a capital city, mate. It's like a big country town. So it's
they all big over there?
Mate, no, not really.
Like some countries are renowned to have small people.
I think the Dutch are big people, but look, the Finns not overly huge, mate, but no, very friendly. But I think it's the happiest country in the world.
One of my favourite series on Netflix was Viking. I could see you, Ragnar.
Oh yeah,
playing.
There you go, mate. Yeah.
Hey,
pillaging and attacking and good fun.
All the good stuff. Your pathways then, your junior footy. Take us through that.
Oh look, mate. It was a case of I started playing. There was a mate of mine in primary school. He said, "Well, look, we're short on footy," and I played for a local Balmain junior league team and. Just got dragged in as a 7-year-old, and Dad didn't know anything about rugby league at all, and then Mum wasn't much of a fan, but it got me out of the house and kept me busy. So I just as a 7-year-old started playing, and then it went from there, mate. I kind of didn't realise till I was about 10.
Were you always the big fella?
I was tall. I wasn't a bit of a beanpole, mate, till I filled out and had plenty of Mum's cooking. But
Jeez, you did. I mean, you did fill out.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So, but no, it was. I heaps of fond memories playing footy back then.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about your role now with West Tigers and in the pathway system, looking after the Balmain area. So we'll talk about that a bit later on in the program. Righto, we're only up to tackle 2. Tell us about these Lowe's commercial. Where did that all start?
Oh, mate, I just if you're a big goose. I guess you take yourself too seriously. You got a chance to do some Lowe's stuff. Late 80s, early 90s, Lowe's embarked on a lot of advertising campaign with
this is all
Fatty. This is Fatty and
the continuous
Fatty
call.
Vaught and Block. Yeah, all those blokes. Yeah, were some of the originals there, and I guess I fitted the bill, mate. I was big and dopey and didn't take myself too seriously, and got a start in a couple of Lowe's ads, and
Still going.
25 years later, still managed to get a bit of Lowe's stuff here and there, mate. They've been a great company, great supporter of community groups and whatnot too, and I've been very fortunate enough to be part of that over the last 25 years. So it's been good. Yeah,
they have been wonderful.
Great.
Wonderful contributors to rugby league.
Well, they are too, mate. So,
and they may well want to partner up with Behind the Raw. I mean, who knows?
Mrs. Penn, if you're listening. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
You played with some wonderful players, right? Some really great players through the 80s. You know, Wayne Pearce, Gary Jack, Blocker, Benny. The stuff you guys all went through together as a team and as mates, because I know you were mates away from football. Those friendships that you built, they still lasting, strong friendships.
Mate, yeah. I still socialise with a lot of blokes I play with. Actually, I caught up with David Brooks, who's one of our second rowers. Played with me, Brooksy, in the 80s too, and we caught up just the other week.
Yeah.
I think when you go through what we did together, over a couple of seasons, I should say, in the 80s, we had some real highs and some real lows together, but just all down to earth, soul earth blokes, mate. So just it's wonderful to I've kept friends with them too, and a lot of blokes I played with in the 90s too. The likes of sort of Timmy Brasher and all that sort of blokes who came. Brash started in the 80s, but came through in the 90s too. There's a heap of blokes there as well. I'm still in touch with, and you may not see them for 5 years or for several years, and then but once you do see them, it's like we're talking the other day. Yeah.
Absolutely. Benny Elias he's going to jump on in the next month or so when he's got a bit of time too. So I'm looking forward to having a chat to Benny.
He'll send you an invoice. Be careful.
Well, Blocker's coming on too.
He'll send you an invoice.
He'll send you an invoice too. I thought it was a nice touch, and we're breaking away a little bit here from the set of six. We do pretty much. We do this every week. But Wayne Pearce presented our boys the 4 debutants. I think round 1 at Leichhardt, down there in the bowels of the stadium. I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah. Junior's. I guess he was a great leader for us. He was a captain and a coach at the club and West Tigers' inaugural coach. So he's got very strong ties. And although that, I guess he doesn't get around too much these days, he's still involved with the game, being on the commission, and we catch up from time to time with the wives and whatnot, and have a bit of dinner and a bit of a catch up and see how everyone's going. And then obviously, his son Mitchell and Curtis play each other over in the Super League too, which is nice too. It's a nice touch.
Yeah. And he won't feature in the next question, I'm pretty sure, Junior. We're up to tackle 4 on the opening set of 6. Who was the biggest larrikin that you played with?
Oh, mate,
there were a few.
There's several, yeah. The dressing shed domain in the 80s, you had to have thick skin, because if you came in and if you said something or did something, and blokes are just, you get sprayed left, right, and centre.
Things were different.
They were a lot different back then. But it's a great larrikin. Paul Clark, Johnny Davidson, Mike Marquito.
Oh, God,
Block,
yeah.
but Block's up there. Block, Kerry Hemsley.
What was Block like on match day? Was he joking around, or did he have the angry face, the serious face on?
No, he got a little bit angry. Block from time to time. He had a drop of a hat, but he's a mixture of both.
What about
mate.
Gary Jack?
Jimmy was actually I shared a locker next to him, But if you left any loose change on the
how'd that work out?
Thing.
Don't they go by number?
No, not those
Not
days.
those days.
You just did your best, mate. If you got a locker, if you're in first grade, you got a locker somewhere. So you're fortunate. But no, mate. Everyone had their.
What was
moments.
Kerry like?
Loud, very, very loud.
And he'd rocked up. He rocked up. It was at the Harley. I remember seeing. I used to go.
The original mullet, the mullets and the big Harley, and he had a couple of run-ins with and I was in the local coppers, and a couple of run-ins with some senior police here from time to time. They used to say to me, "That teammate of yours, he's a pain in the where." So
I'm sure he forged some good tight bonds with the
he
constabulary.
had excuses, mate. No, he was good value, mate. He was good to have around the playing group, and but mate, there was a ton of characters back in those days.
I bet there was. Your greatest disappointment in footy, would it be? It might be simple to assume, not winning a grand final.
Probably, mate. Yeah. Look at I mean, it took several years to get over. I mean, '88 we got beat, but we had a playoff for fifth, and we kind of. By the time we got to the grand final, we were busted up. We got beat by the Bulldogs in '88, and by the time we got there, just making the grand final was the first time since '69. They won in '69, so just that achievement, the whole area was in party mode and just that happy. But '89, off the back of '88, they reckon you got to lose one to win one, and in my heart of hearts, there's times in the game where you think, we're going to win, we're going to win a grand final.
That was it.
We've got this game, and
yep.
I dead set thought we had it, and then, we didn't quite get there.
Yeah, I mean, there are some iconic moments, grand final moments. You talk about, you talk about Scotty Sattler's, tackle. You talk about that try Pat Richards scored, and when Marshall skipped away, some of those real iconic moments. But that Steve Jackson try, and we all know what corner it was in, what moment of the match he almost crawled over the line from about 8 metres out.
Prefer to remember my try, mate, in the first half, just before.
I bet you do. I bet you do. But it was so close, eh? It was so close.
Look, it just, it wasn't to be, mate. We had, and the first time I watched the game in full and with some sort of detail was only a couple of years ago during COVID. We watched it for something for Fox Sports, actually, and mate, Ricky Stewart just kicked the crap out of us. He turned us around, and mate, Tim can answer this better than anyone, I guess, but he turned us. Our forwards were our strength. He turned us around. All we did was play off our line. And mate, our handling wasn't great on the day either. But if you look at their Canberra side now, 30 plus years later, what a great team they were too. Some of the best players that have played the game were in the Canberra side. So.
With Ricky at the helm, and in terms of game controllers, he was so good, wasn't he? At controlling the tempo of a game, Ricky.
Yeah, and mate, that launching the old leather steed and that torpedo punts, and I remember just going, "Oh, here we go again! Run back and come off your line." That's all we did. Our
younger audience, they won't probably even know of the leather footballs. You remember playing with the leather footballs when it's been peeing down, and they get they double in weight,
and
get slippery as hell.
Yeah, and when it was hot and humid too, and it was hard.
You should try doing a long spiral pass with one of those heavy, wet steed. And wow, how the game.
You young people don't know how good you got it now.
No, you don't.
There you go.
Away from footy, Ciro, I know that you are consumed by rugby league with your job here at West Tigers in Pathways, but also I know you're a strong family man. What do you do? I was going to say when you let your hair down. What do you do?
Sorry, hair there. What's left of it?
What do you do away from football? What do you like doing?
Watch footy. No, I do watch a bit of footy, and my wife's a big fan too. She loves it. She'll just sit down on a Friday or a Saturday afternoon, watch the footy, and we've obviously got a bit of interest with Bailey over at the Warriors too, playing over there. So we'll watch a bit of footy. So, but getting away, just like most more mature people like me now, we catch up with family and friends, and we get out and about and like to go long walks, mate, and we like to head down the northern beaches and walk at a swim and on a summer's morning and whatnot, mate. But there's enough to keep me busy in winter, mate. So always busy, which is good.
Beautiful. All right, well that's the opening set of 6. I tell you what, we've covered some ground there. Few set restarts, but it seems to be the way this this show's going.
West Tigers members and fans, let's get ready to make some noise at our next home game against Parramatta Eels on Monday the 10th of April. West Tigers have arranged a special ticket offer with free entry for children 15 years and under. Visit West Tigers website for full terms and conditions of this free ticket offer. The Easter Monday showstopper. Come on, show your stripes.
Let's now dive into some of the nitty gritty, some of the key issues around the club, around your role with the club as well. I said I wanted to touch back on Johnny Bateman. Great signing for the club. Good to see him out on the pitch now. I thought he added a fair bit of grunt. What do you think he'll bring to the club?
Look, I think he's not your stock standard NRL edge back rower. He's not going to run sort of that a tough line, but what he is unpredictable, and he's a footballer and a great competitor, and he's a long-term investment. He's here for a few seasons. So we saw what he did at Canberra, and he won games on the back of his own unpredictability. You know, he's that sort of player. He's, as I said, he's like your stock standard NRL player. He'll try different things, and he's a competitor, and he'll. That competitive, that'll rub off on the younger boys too. They'll see that how he trains and prepares and all that sort of thing. So he's a real pro, but he brings that element of something a bit different, you know. And like a lot of English players I play with, and that they do bring that. So.
Can I ask you something, Ciro? The media, for some reason, have had a fascination with why Sheensy and the high performance staff held back John for a few weeks. I don't know what up front, quite clearly, and the club has been saying this for a number of weeks. They're getting miles in his legs. He's acclimatising to this weather and his new teammates and the whole place. But for some reason, they've wanted to lay the boot in, suggesting there's something untoward going on. That was the plain truth of it. John had to get to know the system, the players, and acclimatise.
Well, look, he I guess when he made the decision to sign with the club too, he stopped training with Wigan the off season. So essentially, he's been training on his own for a couple of months at least. So there's no way in the world you can train on your own for 2 months, then turn up at the NRL and think you can play in the first week or two that you arrive in the country. So there was. As I said, he's a long-term investment, so he's got to. But he needs to get in around the playing group, understand. And mate, he's not easy to understand either with that accent. But he's got to, you've got to get a feel for the joint first, and he's got to get some K's in his legs. So
I just find it. I find it crazy the fascination with certain people wanting to throw stones at the decision to not play. Yeah. Surely our high performance staff, right? They're on some good coin. They know what they're doing. But on all seriousness, when do we start saying, if they say to Tim, he's not ready, surely you've got to go along with that advice.
It was only part of certain parts of the media really pushing the agenda. So, when losing our first game at Leichhardt too, well, we better throw Bateman in. But if he's not ready, he's not ready. So that's pure and simple. They knew he needed to have a couple of weeks. In and around the group and make sure he had the K's in his legs. So there's nothing sort of sinister about it, but it was just
anyway. Look, it's good. It's good that he did play.
He played.
He had some grunt.
Bunch of minutes out. Yeah.
I think probably the plan might have been to rest him maybe until the Melbourne game, but now he's had his first hit out, and let's hope that Well, he will be much better for it, and he's got some.
It's a fair old day to debut too, mate. It was 34 degrees and playing no breezing around Belmore.
I said to you, it's the hottest rugby league venue I have ever been to, and poor old Johnny Bateman's come from
those pasty white legs, mate. They got a tinge of pink now, I reckon. So
yeah. Hey, your role at the club, Ciro. Let's talk to us a bit more about what you do.
Yeah. So part of the pathways team. So. I look after the Balmain side of things, so just with all the grassroots stuff, up to and including our junior rep program, which all funnels into our Jersey Flag under 21. So I look after the Balmain stuff. Shannon Gallant's got the West Magpie stuff. So In and around that, then we also sort of oversee all the Cubs program too, where we take our better players out of both programs, put them together, and those players are ID'd over several months, and then we bring them together as a combined West Tigers 16s, 18s, 19s group, and they have a game too. So we see them as our future flag players, and through the pathway up until to the NRL, we hope. So that's how it works.
When you see someone like a Brandon Turmouth, who made his debut the weekend before last,
yep.
I imagine you get a real buzz out of that.
It's great. Yeah, look.
And I'm not saying you own that, but you've played a sizable role in his pathway.
Oh, plenty of people do, Chris. Yeah. But look, he came across at Bateman Junior. Came through our development program. Development program was ID'd as a leader, and was captained our Matt's and Harold Matt's side, and then played SG ball with us too. And then off the back of strong performances in and around there, I think he played a bit of rep football too, New South Wales, or City, at least City reps. So he's got people in the right places, noticing how he's going, and particularly here at West Tigers as well. So picked up a contract as a development player, and got his opportunity, albeit it wasn't the day he probably wanted to have it Leichhardt on that Sunday against the Knights, but he's had a taste of it now, and all that does is make him hungry to get back in there. So his job now is to try and be in and around that 17 every week, and when his chance comes, he's got to play consistently in Cup and KOE Cup. So when his chance comes to play NRL again, he's ready to go.
Now, you're not coaching the ball or the mats, but you still have an input. And I know for a fact, I think it was the ball the weekend before last got towelled up down in the gong. I have sources that have told me that you asked for permission to go into the change rooms post-match. They got beaten by 50 or something. True or false that you laid down the law?
Oh, it was a bit of a spray, but look, there's a couple of non-negotiables in footy, and I don't mind getting beat. If there's effort there, and you get beat, well, you live with that. But when there's a sense of some guys have put up the white flag well before full time, well then, mate, that's you can't tolerate that. So they were told, and they were told in no uncertain terms too. So and I don't like to sort of go in and be a cranky bloke all the time. That's not me.
No.
I'm pretty easy going. So.
You are. I've seen you around this place.
Easy going, mate.
You are very easy going.
Excuse me. So look, yeah, I just saw it because the staff have sort of hit their head against the wall a couple of times with that playing group. So I just said, look, you blokes, pack up, go. You go. I'll handle this. But the good thing is, I just said, mate, you're playing for yourselves. I think it doesn't matter if you don't like any coaching staff or anyone in and around the staff. You first and foremost, you play for yourself and your teammates. So that's at any level, mate. It's not just SG ball. That's every level of football, right through to if you're playing international football. I
think the key word you mentioned there, Ciro, is effort. And you saw that it wasn't there, and a few of them had sort of given up. Well, fast forward 7 days, that same team, beaten by 50 last week, you had a win at the weekend.
Yeah, it was good. We took on South at Redfern, and look, yeah, we've had a few little hiccups with that side. We've had some boys gone up to play flag, and some other boys go and decide to do other things, but the group there who played, they put their hand up, and they put a really good performance, mate. So it was nice to see. It was just nice to see them all have a dig for each other. That's, as I said, mate, that's all you want. If guys are playing, and sometimes there's bigger, more talented players on the other side, and that happens in footy at that level. But if they're having a go, and you come up short, so be it.
Well, again, I think the key word's effort, right? And in the sheds at Belmore, I was privy to hear what Tim was saying. We'd just been beaten. We'd come back, beaten by 4 points. He said, I can't be overly critical of you because you showed effort. You showed fight, tenacity. You just refused to give in. And That's
what the
you want.
coaching staff are looking for, mate. I mean, that if you're playing NRL, mate, that's as I said before, that's a non-negotiable. You've got to have effort, mate. If you're a professional athlete, you've got to have a benchmark and a standard that you play to every week. You know, it's no good being you're a 9 one week, then you're a 4 the next week, mate. That doesn't cop it in the NRL. You've got to be at that 7 or 8 out of 10 every week, and our boys are going to learn, and they will learn that you've got to be up every week for it, mate. You've got to find something that you want to play for, and it might not be the coach that week or that teammate, but you've got to find something that'll trigger you, and you're ready to run through brick walls for your teammates.
Just going a bit off track here, but around effort and around the psychology of sport, mental health as well, right? And you've got two boys playing at a very high level, one NRL, one Super League. So we've lost 3 games on the trot. And social media probably wasn't around when you were playing, right?
Oh, mate, no. Yeah.
I've seen some of the comments from, directed at some of our players. It's just inexcusable. It's just like something you shouldn't even read, because this club, right, we've got certain values which we try to uphold. And the fundamental value, I think, is being a good person, right? And you look around this place, it's full of good people doing their best. But then you do get these messages on social media that are just unacceptable.
Yeah.
How does it impact the younger boys too? And do you have, I don't know, do you try and insulate them against any of the online trolls? I mean, how do you manage it?
Yeah, that's it. It's all part of the education, mate. I mean, if you want to jump, if you have a good game, you want to jump on and read how good you were, and everyone's waxing lyrical about you, but you've got to take it with it. But I mean, for me, our social media were the blokes at the back of the club, the old rusted on, narky old who just they boo Santa Claus. A lot of them, they just it didn't matter what you did. All they want to do is just concentrate on the negative stuff, and that's all these people do online, mate. They just, I mean, if everyone would take a deep breath and count to 3 before you jump on and write that crap, we'd all be a lot better off. And I've got mates who do it too. I'm in WhatsApp groups, and I'd say to them, listen, boys, pull your head in, and if sure, there's times when you're disappointed, mate, but what about, you're giving them a rap when they do something good too, but it's the way of the world. It's a bit different for me, Chris. As I said, mate, I wasn't not part of, I've been on social media myself for a couple of years just out of necessity, but gosh, mate, I just, some of the garbage you read, geez, you'd like to bring them in, and I know they've confronted other people who have said stuff, in other forums and across the game, mate, but geez, you'd love to sort of.
Well, if you want to wear the stripes, right? Live by the values that we live by. You might lose some games of footy, but you're talking about human beings, right? People with feelings, with families, and
well, that's right, man. But look, Jess, I mean, and particularly that, like all the heavy stuff about go and jump off a cliff. That's how bloody ridiculous. I mean, mate, as I said, don't if you take 5 before you put that crap up, and then think about stuff, and then mate, don't say anything you wouldn't say in front of your grandma. That's a really good one. You just, whatever you say online, if you'd say it in front of your grandma, well, go for your life. If you're that sort of person, but yeah, Jesus, stop and think about stuff before you whack that crap up.
Yeah. Moving on, so you're heavily involved in the pathways. What sort of advice would you give to, say, parents of boys and girls that sort of know they've got some ability and are starting to think about taking the game seriously?
Oh boy, yeah,
it's a tough one, I know.
Mate, I've dealt with these people for the last 20 years across coaching and that. But look, just let them enjoy it. Let them have fun for as long as they can. It all gets real serious very quickly. Let them enjoy it as long as you can. Don't get ahead of yourself too. We've got you got people 15, 16-year-olds think they need to get a player manager. You don't. Yeah, mate, once you start playing in pathways and you're playing, continuous good football at Harold Match level or SG ball level, well, then you can start and think about that stuff. But let the kids enjoy themselves first and foremost, play with their mates. That's what, back in the day, that's what we did, really. You were just playing with your local mates, and it was the beauty of it. Yeah, so.
Well, that sort of leads me into the next question. And you almost were just playing for the fun of it. Like, yeah, I know you got paid, particularly internationals like yourself and Blocker.
I was down
Benny.
there. I don't know. Benny,
And
Junior, Block, Jimmy,
Jimmy Jack.
Ciro was down there, mate. So.
Ciro was down there. Hey, no, you did all right. But on a serious note, how the game and the environment and the business of sport has changed so much over the past 20 or 30 years, right? So we're here at the Zurich Centre, a world-class facility, and you see a lot of these good people we're talking about, the players, their families often come in, our staff here, and we're like a big family as well. But what's the biggest sort of change in the game that you've seen, say now to when you boys were just maybe training Tuesday and Thursdays?
Well, mate, we would frequently get together at Wimpy's Well, which was a little place under the Keith Barnes stand at Leichhardt, and we would, after training, we'd
Still
go,
there?
mate. Well, not really now. They kind of
Storage unit.
reconfigured everything there, yeah, and it's a ticket box office. But back in the day, you'd finish training and you'd have your shower and walk across to the well, and we'd have, it might be hot dogs or a can of drink, or a couple of blokes have a beer or two, and talk about things. But I distinctly remember sitting down and talking as a group, how good would it be to be a full-time footballer? And I'm talking, this is probably 88, we're talking, 88, 89, just saying, geez, it'd be great to be full-time, and not have to worry about work and all those sorts of things. But
because the younger generation wouldn't
Well,
really know
they
that you
don't,
guys
no.
would have a full-time job.
Yeah,
There were
yeah.
a lot of policemen, school teachers,
tradies,
real estate agents, tradies.
tradies,
They'd go and do a full
self-employed blokes were all part of it. But no, and look, sometimes I think maybe they should have a part-time job just to get away from the NRL bubble and just see how the average man spends his week working and trying to pay a mortgage off and raise a family and that sort of thing too. It's quite humbling sometimes for players to see that. But look, they're fortunate enough to be, and you don't really understand how good it is until you don't have it. So you ask any player, any retired player or player who's out of the game, it's you're very fortunate now if you're part of a top 30 squad and you're doing what you love. You're training and playing footy with your mates, or it's pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess sometimes they don't realise how good
Mate,
they've got it to be playing professional rugby league.
That's right. So I remind my boys from time to time, don't forget the blokes who dug the well in front of you blokes. So you appreciate everything you get. It's important, and 99% of the boys are like that. They do appreciate, and they're great with their time, and they're fantastic with fans and members and that sort of thing, which is great to see.
Dug the well, was it Wimpy's well back there?
Well, there you go.
I was just another big change too, and you played through your era in terms of rule changes. Probably the biggest rule change in my lifetime has been when the game moved from the 5 metre rule, and again, our younger listeners might not ever have remembered that 5 metre rule to the 10 metre rule. And for some big units like yourself, it sort of squeezed them out of the game. 2 points to this question. How did you transition from the 5 to the 10? And could you possibly imagine what it would look like today if we had the 5 metre rule?
Yeah, should be bash up. It'd be a bash up. Look, it came in sort of mid 90s, so I was kind of past my,
Past your peak?
prime, past my prime. But look, I think if you're a league player playing first grade and you've got pride in your performance, you're all athletes, to a certain extent. So you just had to change with the times, mate. You had to be more athletic, and you had to
Was it a hard adjustment for a big bloke?
Yes and no, mate. You found you got more time to wind up too, So consider that too, that you could play a bit flatter on the line, and by the time you're at full tilt, mate, you were sort of into the defensive line. You had a bit more time to build up speed. So, and that's probably what's led to more collisions and concussions these days. Yeah. So.
On that, and we know that concussion is a huge issue in not just rugby league but sport. And the game is just recently last week brought in the mandatory 11-day stand down. So we can't do enough to protect the athlete.
No, that's right.
But if you were, could you imagine if the 5 meters was brought in now? It would just be slaughter, wouldn't it?
You would see, and for the younger listeners, if you look at old footage, you'll see backlines, like
45-degree angle.
45-degree
That's
angle.
what we were trained.
Back to the corner. That's how they, they're deep and wide, and you'd swing the ball out wide. That's what you did. Yeah. So you weren't up in their faces, but playing a sort of flat style of footy, but. That's how it was, pre-90s, I guess. We had back lines and we'd shift out wide, and the wingers were deep and wide.
And back in that day, you weren't splitting centres, were you? And you weren't
centres
splitting
on both sides, and your
the
halves
second row
too.
was split. You were second row. Were you split?
Well, you would play. Yeah, you kind of did. You had a keep going second row and a hit back. From a scrum, you might stay for a bit pooped, like I was a lot of times. I'd stay on the blind side and send the fitter Brucey Maguire or whoever my back row partner on the keep going to go do all the tackling. Yeah,
you just need a little breather.
Exactly.
I need a little hide.
Get off your blind side, mate. Yeah, but look, it's there was that sort of transition where we started playing a bit more structure, and particularly we had Warren Ryan as a coach who had a lot of structure, and he'd put us in positions, and you had roles in a set of 6, so you knew what your job was.
You had some great coaches, didn't you?
Yeah.
You had some wonderful coaches through your career at representative level as well.
I did, yeah.
Any coach or bit of advice from any one coach that might sort of stand out as, wow, he was sort of ahead of his time?
Oh, look, I think all coaches, you take bits and pieces from all coaches, and points of little bits of advice, it might be football or life related, that sort of thing. But I remember when I first turned up, Warren Ryan first turned up at Balmain. He'd come from successful stint at Canterbury and sort of come across, and he just said to me, he said, "Mate, you're a big bloke, and the expectation is with a big fella that they're going to be good, and he said, look, you'll just be part of this team, but there was always, the big bloke, give it to him." So he said there's all that expectation that you've got to be good, but
Jack gave you a bit of advice.
Yeah, a little bit of advice too, mate.
About your weight.
Yeah. He just said, look, as you, he said Jack was, and I had Jack at Origin and City level a few times, and he just said, and it sort of throwaway line or mumble or something or other, and he said, I remember one time he said, mate, just as you get over year you play, try and play a kilo lighter. So I thought, what's he going on about? But I kind of understand as I got towards the back of my career, if you're a bit lighter, you got around a bit better and for longer. So, so just a couple of tidbits.
You're looking in good shape. Gus, you would have...
Gus was there, yeah. Gus at Origin level was a very good coach. For those 3 games, he would have he'd have a theme for each Origin game, and he'd build on that. So we'd have a theme on something. If it was a movie or something about family or something about this, or So he was fantastic in that space, and had a lot of success with Gus in the Origins arena.
West Tigers members and fans, let's get ready to make some noise at our next home game against Parramatta Eels on Monday the 10th of April. West Tigers have arranged a special ticket offer with free entry for children 15 years and under. Visit West Tigers website for full terms and conditions of this free ticket offer. The Easter Monday showstopper. Come on, show your stripes.
Righto, let's take some questions from the crowd. And again, best way to send your questions through is probably on the socials. Jump on Insta and DM us, and we'll get them in the next program or two if we can. Coming out, Roy Masters is going to be on in the next few weeks as well.
Wow.
Look forward.
What a coach.
Jolie Kane's coming on. Blocker's coming on as well. And yet to be confirmed, but I think we may well have an Easter Monday special live show. To be confirmed, all right? So don't hold that on me yet. But we've got that game against Parramatta out there.
The Easter Bunny's coming on?
Easter Bunny there. I think there's going to be free flag giveaways.
Chocolate eggs.
Kids go free. It's all happening, Ciro. Yeah, so no, it should be a great
Easter
event.
Monday's a great event. Yeah.
Let's fill the stadium if we can. It's a big stadium, but lot of planning going into that. Some questions from the crowd then, Ciro. So Harry from Toongabbie. Clem grew up in Toongabbie.
Did he?
Yeah.
Toongabbie
I
Tigers.
grew up about 5k away from
the
Toongabbie.
Toongabbie Tigers.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Clem's Junior Club.
There are Tigers in Toongabbie, I do know that. Yeah.
Not sure if it is. Yeah, but anyway, I depart. Harry, who had the shortest shorts, Ciro? Wayne Pearce or Kerry Hemsley? Or Ciro?
Kevin Hardwick. No, there was they're a different cut those days, so you just, whatever was left over you grab, but...
Did you just put a voice on then, Paul?
Oh, sorry.
Did you just break in?
I did too, sorry about that. Well, that's what I was called.
They were the classics, weren't
I was called the buttocks from time to time because
You were.
my buttocks used to hang out the back of the shorts, so a bit too funny cut.
they were the classics, weren't they? The little football.
There you go.
And again, our younger audience won't remember.
No, they won't, but they were good.
Totally different cut these days.
Yes,
aren't
yeah, they were.
And I'm breaking away here. Quite a few players, I think Kerry or Junior might have, but they used to wear the jock strap, right? Because you'd often see the classic shorts were that short. There'd be the strap at the bottom.
No, there was.
Yes.
There's one bloke who had it, needed it, Ellery Hanley. Ellery had the jock strap, yeah.
Do they still make them? Do they still wear them? I don't know. Just the budgies.
He came over from England with about 5 jock straps, I think he had to.
Question to our producer: do they still make jock straps? I haven't seen
No,
one
mate,
for a while.
that was 60s. I'm not that old, mate.
Or the
Please.
budgies are just extra tight these
Please,
days.
yeah, well, sorry.
Harry, I hope that answers your
Good question, Harry.
question. Kiara J. Any more Balmain juniors that we should keep an eye out for in your pathways system?
There's a couple, but I don't like to name names. I don't like to put pressure on kids, but there's a couple of kids who are very talented, but, there's a lot to it. So they need to stay the straight and narrow, and hopefully if they're doing what they're doing now at 16, 17, if they're doing that when they're 18, 19, 20, well, it'll be good for the club.
That was serious. This isn't so. The Mad Cow, is he, do you know a Mad Cow? Is he a mate of yours? No? If you
I've been in the Mad Cow up at Townsville. But
he goes by the Mad Cow. If you could have the big man, Hadley, or Fatty over for dinner, who's it going to be?
Oh, such a choice. Look, because I've worked with
That
him,
would be quite a foursome.
it would be. It would be. I'd go the big man probably, just because we've got our Lowe's ties there. But he's a
Can you give us
great man.
Can you give us an at Lowe's?
I can't, man. I'd have to send you an invoice if I did that. So at Lowe's.
We got it. You still got it. You're still on the payroll there.
From time to time.
Time to time,
Yeah.
yeah.
They've changed their advertising structures and whatnot now. So
Watch your space though.
well, mate, get them on board here.
Absolutely. Behind the raw.
Something,
At
please.
Lowe's.
Yeah.
Righto. That's from the crowd. Let's now get into the 5. There's 5 left on the clock, so we'll rapid fire through
Been a long
here.
game, yeah.
Well, you would have played back when the clock stopped.
I did.
Not the digital clock, the round clock.
No,
5
that-
to
yeah,
go.
well.
That's where we're at.
Remember it well at Leichhardt, yes. Okay.
Righto. You're a big fella.
Uh-huh.
Cuisine. Let's talk some cuisine. Your favourite meal? I'm thinking Sunday night Chinese.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
The whole lot. What's your go-to?
Oh, mate, look, growing up was mum's baked dinner. Like a lot of blokes, my mum made the best baked dinner, and I'd inhale it, and then an hour later I'd be looking back in the oven at those roast potatoes and roast pumpkin, and roast onions and,
I
bits
think
of-
my grandma could match your mum's.
Yeah,
Roast
it's
potato.
always funny. But, so I had a really, really good appetite at sort of 15, 16.
Lamb roast, pork or chicken?
Mate, I was lucky because Mum would generally do roast pork and chicken or their beef. And so we're a little bit sport, I guess, sport for choice.
How many siblings?
Two, but you dare not leave the dinner table while if there's food there. If you left the table and there's something left in your plate, gone.
Career
And that was my sister. Oh, sorry, I should say that.
Oh, yeah. Favorite career moment, right? So let's just recap then. Your first grade debut was when?
86.
86, and you pull up Stubbs 98.
98. Actually, it was 85. I had a run on. Yeah, they changed things a bit different. So I played. We used to have Monday night football in 85. And
Yes.
a bloke alerted me to this.
On the
it was
night
a Monday
football.
night game. We played Canberra at SCG, and I was had the big blonde Buffon and come off the bench.
Yeah.
Come off the bench. I think Frank Stanton may have given me the last 10 minutes of the game against Canberra. But in those days, if you didn't start, it wasn't counted. So you had to start. But my first run-on game was 86 against the great Parramatta side in 86 at Leichhardt. Yeah,
The last premiership winning
it
team.
was.
I could rattle off the team.
It was a fair side.
I was a Parramatta.
I didn't know if
fan
I should
as a
take
kid.
my autograph book out with me to get their autographs.
Yes.
I watched them for years and years before I played against them. So it was
Sterling,
was
Kenny,
great. Yeah,
Ella,
Price,
Cronin, Hunt,
the zip,
Zip, and might have been who was the back?
Eric Grath,
Taylor
Eric Grath,
or Mick Delroy. Can't recall.
Neil Hunt. I think he was
Neil
there.
was
Neil
on
Hunt
the pick and
there.
swing.
Yeah. But they were a great side. Yeah, just
Bugden, Lee, Beater, Mosley.
mate. Sterling just had time. He was ahead of Sterling. Just put it on serve it up on a plate.
That's your era then. So yeah, your favourite career moment? Do you think? What do you reckon? It was?
Mate, what? Look, it's dare I say it? It's funny that a career that spans sort of 13 years. I guess, mate, scoring a try in a grand final where you get times, and it only happened really once or twice in my whole career, but you could see things developing, and I wasn't much renowned as a support player, but yeah, when
Take us through it. Just
that
rewind,
try-
visualise it.
Block,
I'm just
Block
trying
went
to-
down a short blind side, past to James Grant? No, Andy Courier.
Yeah.
Andy's put the we made a break down the short blind, cross kick, terrible bounce, got picked up by was it Mick Neal? Yeah, and selective passing and found me sort of middle of the field supporting and
How far did you have to gallop?
90. No. It gets longer as I get older. Oh, about 30, 35.
True.
35 minutes, yeah.
Were the steps getting shorter?
Crashed over near the post, and at 12-2, and we had played ordinary in the first half of the grand final, and I thought, well, we played ordinary and we're up 12-2. How
This could be on.
This is it was just the best moment, thinking,
Wow.
and then to have your best moment and your worst moment an hour apart in the same game is pretty ironic, isn't it? Yeah, so there you go. So best moment. Fast forward 40 minutes later. Oh, geez. Yeah, so
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
there you go.
You rattled off some names there. A bit hard, this one. The question is your favourite teammate. Well, let me rephrase it because you can't really do that. Okay. All right, away from the game, which teammate would you probably spend the most time with?
Oh, Block, for sure. Block, yeah. So we live relatively close to each other, and we walk and socialise and do a lot of things together. And our families, our sons are all great mates, and so he's in my top 100 mates.
We're gonna get the Block on. Okay, we're almost at full time here. Favourite ground that you've played at? This could be home or abroad, or it could be NRL, could be international, could be Origin.
I'm going to give a stock standard boring answer, mate, but probably Leichhardt, mate. Leichhardt with 18 to 20,000 in the 80s was
Roaring.
Well, it was fantastic. Yeah, and they were up on the toilet roofs and the roofs of surrounding properties, and it was a pretty special place to run out. You come out of that tunnel into the sunshine, and in those days you didn't warm up on the field. So the first time they saw you, you'd warm up in the sheds for 10 minutes, stand in a circle and run and punch and do push-ups. And the first time you come roaring out of the tunnel,
And Laurie would be there.
to that, all part of it. Yeah, it was, mate. It's one of the great things, one of the great memories I have. Just Sunday afternoon running out there, and I know we try and recreate it these days, but look, it is what it is, and it was what it was. So.
Well, that in a nutshell would be behind the roar, huh? In that you've just painted. I can picture it myself going back there. Righto, almost full time. Is there one last favourite five? Is there one game where the real Siro stood up, where pretty much you played the perfect game, if there is one?
I don't think so, mate. There's some favourite games. 100th game.
Where was
beat
that?
Canterbury at Leichhardt. Poured rain. The field was terrible, but scored a meat pie in my 100th game, and had a strong game. Got man of the match, the old Channel 9 man of the match. So that was pretty good.
Then? What was it? A TV or what did they give you? Was it $100 or?
It was 1,000.
The National Panasonic,
mate. It hasn't gone up much,
thousand bills.
Hasn't gone up much, but the tax man got up.
Do they still do? I don't
think they get.
They'd be included in the cap.
Well, it'd have to be. Yeah, that's right. So already got
The world's
a meat
changed,
tray,
hasn't it?
Meat tray and a bit of cash or something. So
You will like the meat
there
tray.
you go. I'd love a meat tray.
I bet you love a meat tray. Ciro, great having you on, mate. I love having a chat with you, and you are one of the real,
good
characters in the game, and it's great to have you working here and doing such good work in Pathways too.
Cheers, mate.
And thanks for tuning in. Good luck against Melbourne Storm. We know the effort's going to be there. Let's hope we can come away with the points, hopefully, down there. It won't be easy.
Fingers crossed, mate. Yeah.
So we can do. Fingers crossed. We'll do it again next week. Thanks for tuning in to Behind the Roar, the official podcast of West Tigers. We'll do it all again next week, same place, same time. Until then, show your stripes.
Behind the Roar, the official podcast of West Tigers.